Joining us now, CNN legal analyst Shan Wu. So Shan, getting big picture here, right? Because Papadopoulos is going to go to prison for a couple of weeks here. But in the judge's rejection of Papadopoulos' challenge to his sentence was a larger message about how courts are handling this challenge to Robert Mueller's authority here, right? Because you have the second case. But this judge, even though he's not the one hearing that case, he seemed to say, listen, that challenge to Mueller's authority ain't going to happen, deal with it. I mean, is that effectively the message you got there?
Yeah, I think so. I mean, from a strict legal standpoint, Papadopoulos did not have a leg to stand on. I mean, his attorney's statement is just silly. They're not going to appeal. They don't have a right to appeal. He waived that when he agreed to plead guilty. But from a bigger picture standpoint, as you're pointing out, I think if the judge saw a serious challenge or a serious issue with Mueller's jurisdiction, it might have given him some pause on that. And he clearly doesn't. I mean, that's been rejected a number of times, including Paul Manafort tried to make that attack. I don't think there's going to be any successful criticism of Mueller's jurisdiction. And for Papadopoulos, it's just too late in the day. That's the sort of argument you need to make early before you plead guilty.
Right. Good point. So, Shan, Democratic Congressman Adam Schiff, who's going to likely get a whole lot more power come January. He's expected to be the chairman of the House Intel Committee. He said that he expects that Democrats will try to bring in Acting Attorney General Matthew Whitaker to testify about any actions he may be taking or considering involving the Mueller probe. My question to you is, what would Whitaker, if that does happen, and if he does come, be able to withhold from Congress regarding perhaps his conversations with the president? How much would be protected?
He could certainly try to withhold those, and he could argue a couple of bases for that. He could argue executive privilege, which we've heard a lot about, and he can also argue that it's law enforcement sensitive, meaning it could compromise certain law enforcement investigations going forward. Those are the kind of typical issues that he would rely upon. Executive privilege, of course, is a very murky area here. There has been case law which has upheld aides gathering information in the SB case, for example. But the problem is, if he tries to assert that, it could be a rather protracted argument going on there, particularly if they have to resort to the courts. I think in the SB situation, the actual litigation dragged on for some 40 months, so that would be a very slow-going process. I'd be very curious whether those will be public hearings or private hearings, actually.
Shan, before we let you go, Alan Dershowitz, of course, renowned lawyer, often very public supporter of the president and doubter about the Mueller inquiry. He had some interesting comments to ABC this weekend. He said that in his view, the report is going to be devastating to the president. He was speaking from a political sense here. What's your read of those comments? I mean, this is someone who the president listens to his analysis there. What is he seeing and hearing, do you think, that would lead him to that assessment?
I don't see that he has any legal basis for making that assessment. I mean, he's in the dark as much as we all are because Mueller's folks have been very quiet. He may certainly be picking up on the worries that the president has about it. And I think any sort of organized presentation of what has been going on in terms of the inconsistencies, the guilty pleas, in a normal political setting, that is going to be very negative for the president. But this presidency is far from normal. And I actually don't, if that's all there is going to be to it, a bunch of criticisms of people have covered up, small things, false statements, that's not going to be a death blow to Trump, because we pretty much all know that. I think what we're really waiting for is to see, is there something really substantive that really puts the blame on him knowing something about the Russian interference and then withholding that or telling people to withhold it. That's the real question.
And really, it's always been a political question, right? Because it'll go to Congress. You can't indict the sitting president, et cetera. It's going to be a political judgment in the final analysis. Shan Wu, thanks very much.